Beyond the game, how SiGMA Foundation is transforming lives.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all doing fine. So we're going to discuss over the next 10 minutes or so the SiGMA Foundation, the history of, and how it intertwines with CSR. So the backstory behind this, and I'm going to have to take you back a couple of decades here, is that I've been involved in charity for 30 years. In my own stead, personally, when I used to run a pharmaceutical company, I'm an accidental pharmacist, by the way. And as we developed into the SiGMA Foundation, I was never one to appreciate going down on bended knee begging for money. We have done it and we will continue to do it. But in the ideal world, we would provide a backbone to a situation in terms of adventure and expedition formation and use these guys to build themselves up, breed confidence into them, get them to fundraise, build projects of various forms and nature, and, even though it sounds dramatic, it is the case, build lives. When it came to the SiGMA Foundation, things didn't change. We kept on doing this through various challenges across the world, and we also managed to get SiGMA on board through the auctions, and these did tremendously well. So we were gunning on two fronts. We were gunning on auctions, and we're gunning on the people who joined us for these expeditions and raise funds in their own rights. But we needed to close off this triumvirate. And truth be told, it was proving to be a tough nut to crack, getting people to believe in us to the extent that they could come on board, both in terms of branding with us in a co-association, as well as co-financing the projects that we engaged within. Let me go back a second and let me elaborate on one point that I forgot out. When we build schools, when we build projects of various forms and nature, the whole situation takes on an aura in the direction of photo opportunities and ribbon cutting and what have you. Fine, it's a preemptive and it's an important part of the package. But beyond that, we need to look closer to home and see how things on the ground are affected in terms of expedition member, I would say, amelioration. It is so easy in life for people to be chewed up and spat out by society. It's surprisingly easy. And people who are dismantled by society find it, and I have 20 years of experience in this, so I guess it's, they find it very hard to make their way back. So creating a platform by way of which, listen guys, we're offering you a menu of different adventure expeditions, from mountain climbing, and mountain climbing isn't everyone's cup of tea. But then we dumb it down, if dumb it down is even the phrase to be had, to the Camino de Santiago, which is a walk in Spain. Take it loosely because it's walking 25 kilometers a day, but it's a very accessible situation. You know, a bit of training and you'll make it, and you walk in your own stead. There's no pressure. It's not as rigorous as mountain climbing. So we do expand on our reach, on our realm, and on our horizons. People come on board, and they start making friends. They get reintegrated into society. We breathe life and confidence. And in return, they fulfill, if you will, the promise, their obligation, in inverted commas, of fundraising towards a cause. It starts off looking in a certain direction, but then the whole picture starts taking shape. So you breathe confidence, they establish themselves within the team. They're successful because invariably it's almost always the case that these people actually get to the finishing line. They fundraised, and which is something that more often than not, they've never engaged in before. And then they come to the fruit of it all. Join us for the inauguration. So it's an absolutely complete deal. So we had this front. We had the auctions, which were doing well. We needed people to come on board to believe in us as the SiGMA Foundation. And it was very problematic. And for a couple of years, it was frustrating. because everything was working out well, projects were burgeoning, but we just couldn't establish ourselves in this world. And it's strange, because we do ultimately fall under the auspice of probably one of the largest organizers in the iGaming world, in the world. Anyway, over the last 2 months, there was a radical change in the things. We had a massive, massive itinerary lined up, and Jess, who is over here, she worked her magic. And before you knew it, there's a thing called the Me Too syndrome. So it's problematic for the first person to come on board. Once that person or once that entity come on board, the floodgates open. So we had EGT Digital, and I will, for a short word, nice acronym, but I will forever hold them in our hearts, because they were the people who broke the duck. So EGT Digital came on board and said, listen guys, we're going to sponsor your trail, the Inca Trail in Peru. I don't know if you guys have done this, but it's tough stuff. We very much undermined the value behind the exhaustive nature of it, but it was fun. So they sponsored us in terms of branding, and they went the extra yard by co-financing this hospital that we inaugurated, we financed in northern Peru. Right after that, we came back. I went over to Brazil. It was literally a fleeting visit, 48 hours, to inaugurate a sports center in Sao Paulo, which was actually brilliant as well. And from there, we had Guatemala as well. It was a very convoluted and very tough month. We came closer to home, flew back to Europe, and went on the Camino de Santiago. The Camino de Santiago was sponsored by Nook's Game. Came back for a day, washed our clothes, repacked, and went to Mount Toubkal, which is the highest mountain in North Africa. And this was sponsored by Match Liquidity. So things began happening. People began having faith in us. At the same time, we reciprocated going forward by inviting them to the respective inaugurations, because that, I think, is something vital. Credibility is built up over a period of time, but it can be lost at the drop of a coin. So it is on this point that I will stress, I don't want to pontificate, because I think what I'm going to state is the bleeding obvious, but I really feel that CSR shouldn't be obliged, and it should definitely not be given out as lip service to appease people's consciences. Misplaced, it could be venomous, it could be toxic towards a situation, and it can easily enable misplacing and discredibility of companies, foundations, and the benefacting faction, if you will. But at this point, do we have any questions, actually? Questions? Ambassador?
Okay, Keith, I couldn't resist since you insist. Will you be doing another hike up the Inca Trail? That's very interesting. I heard it's not easy, but I'm very interested.
Are we speaking, Ambassador, are we speaking about the Inca Trail here? Well, when we come off anything which is that strenuous, and Jess can attest to what I'm saying, because when we came off it, we said never again. But once the dust settles on a situation, I've done Mount Toubkal in Morocco 3 times over 24 months. Every time I came down and I hit base camp, I said, Jess, never again. But then the dust settles on the situation and the pain subsides. And then you're left reminiscing over great memories. So I wouldn't say it's a guarantee, but I definitely wouldn't say that we've closed the doors on the situation, especially within the bounds of the fact that since we've started working with Father Raimondo Vella, who is also a doctor, incidentally, he's a Gozitan Gozo is the sister island, one of our dependencies in Malta, the island of Malta, in the central Mediterranean. And Raimondo is a man, besides being a man of God and a man who walks the talk, he's a very, very smart, articulate, and conscientious man. So we have pledged going forward that the new annex to his existing hospital that we have provided the funds with, it's not going to stop there. So we're going to go forward. So us traveling to Peru for further inaugurations, it kind of catalyzes the situation. So if you're going to go there, in for a penny, in for a pound, in Malta we say, ta'li bayda, ta'li tnej, you know it. So it could be something that we're going to be looking at in the future. Nothing's guaranteed, but who knows?
Keith, I want to ask you a question.
Fire, Trudy.
Because you do all these amazing events all over the world, and you're always inviting me and saying, hey, Trudy's come to one of these events, and I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what really interests me and what really impacts on me is when someone is able to make a difference to one human being, because that ripple effect, that one person goes to school, which means that they are able to benefit to their family and so on and so forth. You've been doing this a long time, Keith. Do you have a particular story or an individual that the foundation has been able to help that's touched your life, that you've seen a change, that in any of the countries in which the SiGMA Foundation operates, is there something that really has touched you?
I mean, the cases which are riveting, emotionally riveting, are a dime a dozen. So in every community, every territory that we serve, there are always going to be those people that surface with incredibly moving stories. Yesterday morning, for example, we got some shut-eye for 4 hours, and then we were invited to Tondo, which is an area here in the Philippines, a very impoverished area. People could relate Smoky Mountain to it. So that's how these people live, the state of impoverishment runs well beyond my level of comprehension. Now, I've been traveling in the third world for 30 years. I've been to Ethiopia 22 times. I spent months on end over it, and I've seen some really harrowing things, but nothing like I witnessed yesterday. But beyond all of this, to get to just to exemplify my answer with regards to one particular case, the helpers from the Pearls Foundation, they said, listen, Keith, let's visit this girl. It's her birthday, and she's really looking forward to your visit. So me, Jess, and a few others, we engaged, and we went over, and she suffers from a condition called hydroxycephalus, where you have cranial enlargement, and your head takes on a massive proportion. She's been bedridden since she was 1 year old, and she's 21. So when you look at the situation, living under those conditions is already terrible. Being bedridden and fully cognitive, because she's not in a vegetable state. You know, she's not vegetative in any way. She's there. She knows exactly what's happening, and she's there, stuck in a bed, living in the most squalid of conditions. Imagine, no sanitation. Not poor sanitation, guys. Zero sanitation. No? So you don't even use a bucket. You use a piece of paper, and it's thrown out into the street. So that's just one case. I mean, Ethiopia offers a plethora of cases. You know, we were just in Guatemala. This girl, I think she was 13 or 14, Annabella, she suffered from a form of leukemia. This brought on drop foot in both feet. So she ended up using Crocs on her, walking with her knee joints, inserting her Crocs into her knee joints, because her bottom feet, they were dead. She will come back, and we fundraised, and we've bought her Zimmer frames and moon boots, and we've engaged physiotherapists and orthopedic specialists so we can possibly bring her back. But by and large, and this is something I learned from Father George Grima, who basically groomed me throughout this journey. He said, Keith, don't concentrate on individual cases. Go for the crowd. Use the community going forward. And I do break away, Trudy. And maybe it's a bad on my part, But Jess can attest to this fact. When you see these cases, it's very, very hard to turn a Nelson's eye. You know, it's easy to say, it's a problem, but it's not my problem. Let's make these people our problem. It's okay. In a world where human emotion and meaningfulness is becoming anachronistic to our time, it's being left behind. It's almost unfashionable to say that I care. I care about people. I care about bringing them back, giving them a chance, reinstating a level of justice. These are all salient features that we need to reel back into our present. Any other questions, guys?
Keith, I just want to say thank you. We're out of time. We're bang on 000. I want to say thank you, and I'm going to ask everyone here just to give a round of applause to Keith and to Jess, who are here, for what they do with the SiGMA Foundation.
Thank you very much for your time and your attention. Thanks, guys.
And listen, do take the opportunity to grab Keith. He has this incredible energy, but do ask him more about the SiGMA Foundation and how you can be a part of that ripple effect. Making a change to one person's life is inordinate in its reach beyond, far beyond. So grab Keith. Oh, thank you so much.